requirement to protect citizens. We protect our citizens when we put them behind the wheels of cars, but we don't protect them when we allow them to use the internet and and have Jeff Bezos take their geolocation and sell that for and their religious affiliation or their sexual preference or are they gay, are they bi, are they this, are they that, and sell that, monetize that. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I think it's not because we're a big country or because people who live in South Dakota differ from people who live in North Dakota or California or Chicago or Illinois. I think it's because we have not looked at it from a macro level and understood the damage this is doing to our society, to our people, like safety in automobiles or safety in in airplanes. We need safety in our computers. And it's funny because when it comes to understanding cyber threats, from nation states, this administration alone, unbelievable, making sure that when the government is processing, storing or transmitting government information, that we keep out of harm's way. But why aren't we doing that for our citizens? Yeah, no idea. No idea. I don't understand how people don't. We don't have a Ralph Nader for cybersecurity that says enough is enough.
Yeah.
We're losing too much data.
Yeah, it's a good point. I only come back to, like what's been going on with Facebook, right? Or Meta, where Meta was caught, what was it? It was like promoting, sex trafficking in some way and allowing, pedophiles to connect with children and things like that, right? And they kind of got a slap on the wrist, right? They got brought before Congress, and now we are 3-4 months removed from that. We're in an election year, and no one is thinking about that, right? Anyone listening to this podcast, I almost guarantee you haven't thought about that since then, right? Until right now. And what was the most that Congress did? I mean, I don't even think that they fined them, right? But when the data is so abundant and you have so much of it and you're making money off of that data, what is a fine going to do, right? Because Meta probably has lobbyists working for them that's going to go get that fine down, so it's not going to be the real total amount or anything like that, right? But when you're basically printing money, as these big data companies, what's a fine going to do? I feel like there's too much money going around for any real impact to take place in the data privacy, right? Because the companies that have this data that are making, insane amounts of money off of this data, they have the money to go and pay for the lobbyists to go and say, hey, you're invested in my company too, congressperson, senate person, whatever, right? You're invested in my company too. You have a vested stake in this. How about you just leave it alone? And 9 times out of 10, they'll either leave it alone or they'll make a change that isn't really significant to the business to improve anyone else's data privacy.
Joey, you're bringing me down. I thought we were going to be positive. Thought I was going to hang up feeling, hey, uplifted. You're right. For me, I'm listening to two things. I'm thinking all the money they could make, they could put a little more effort into protecting that data. And the other key word that you use is they were caught. Now, when you're caught for one thing, think of all the things you weren't caught for. So getting caught, profitizing off of, a sex trade, that is one thing. Well, that just shows you that if that's where you're caught, I think it's like, for me, I absolutely do believe, criminals, you always see the tip of the iceberg. You see when you're getting caught, you're just stupid. And it's where you're not getting caught that people are getting away with real crime and making real money. It is I don't know, Joe. I don't have an answer. I think we need a consumer. I'm not kidding when I said we need a Ralph Nader for privacy. We need somebody to say enough is enough. How is it? That Facebook and Meta and Amazon and all these tech companies have shown us that data equals cash. And once we understood that our data, our personal data, meant their cash, how come we didn't say, stop? You have no right to sell my DNA. You have no right to sell my biometrics, my blood type, my religious affiliation, my tax code, my social security number. These things are mine. This is my intellectual property. They belong to me. I don't know, but yet we're just I just think we're dumb. I can't. I never forget my sister once. She's working on a family tree, and she showed me this family tree. I said, "Where'd you get this?" And it says, here, Uncle so and so came over from Krakow in 1906, and I'm like, I don't even think Grandma knew that. How does this company, located in Illinois, how do they know more about my family than my family does? Please tell me that. We never even knew who Aunt so and so was married to, or what her real maiden name was, or and yet this is in a database that people are selling to us. Here's your family. Let me sell that back to you. Here's your family tree. And these ancestry, platforms, you think, and now they get into DNA. I just don't understand how we didn't catch up and say, hey, wait a minute, that's my family. How come I got to pay for that information? Yeah, hey, give us a free this, and hey, give us a free DNA swab, and we'll show you who you could be connected to. And you're like, wait a minute, I found out my niece gave away her DNA, and I'm saying, hey, that's my DNA too. That wasn't your right to give up our family DNA. I don't know. We just don't get it. We don't. It's this, and of course we're lazy, we're fat, we're overfed, underloved, and we just love the convenience. The convenience of Bezos telling us the next book we're going to buy, or Netflix telling us, hey, if you like this, watch this, this, and this, and not understanding, well, where do they get that data? And we just don't get it. We just don't get it. So anyway, I think it's a consumer thing, and I think until consumers say enough is enough, and then we ask for, I'm not pro legislation or regulation, but I don't see how this is going to be fixed. We couldn't put seatbelts in cars without legislation, without the government mandating it. And then it changed lives. It saved lives. Millions and millions of us have been saved from drunk driving, and the same thing could happen in our industry, in our cybersecurity industry. But I don't know. When I'm at a conference and I'm advocating regulation, I sound like some neo, fanatical. The government's not the answer. When the government has to step in, we all got it wrong. Clearly, we need to fix something that's broken. And the fact that our personal data is monetized by other companies with no kickback to me, I think something's wrong. And the fact that they don't pay to protect that data, they breach it, then suddenly bad guys have it, as well as Meta, and because Meta lost its database of everybody who's left-handed in Wisconsin, and they have that database of everybody who's left-handed in Wisconsin. They do, and because if you can monetize left-handers in Wisconsin, you can sell it. I bet, I'm telling you. That's the whole point. Until we see that, and then suddenly, hey, the left-handed database is up for sale on the dark web. People don't care. Okay, I'm left-handed, but it doesn't mean I won't have job opportunities in my future. Really? Well, see when the right-handed people take control. How you feel about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how many sports organizations would actually buy a database like that. That's left-handed people that play a certain sport. Because predominantly the players are right-handed, right? So if you can go with your left hand, it throws everything off. It really confuses a right-handed player sometimes of, the timing and everything, right? I'm thinking about baseball. But to bring it back to risk, you brought up an interesting point with Facebook, right? Or Meta, they were caught with, an atrocious crime, right? Sex trafficking, right? And they were not committing the sex trafficking themselves, but they were definitely enabling it and allowing it to happen on their platform, right? They were profiting from it. And someone, at Meta, right, a lawyer or someone else, right, literally said, what's the risk of us getting caught with this compared to this other thing? And someone had to say, "Oh, I'd rather be caught with sex trafficking." I mean, that is the
that we can bounce back from. Yeah,
that's the risk calculation that they made. That's the actual math right there, right?
Yep.
And they probably attributed how much they would be fined, the publicity that they would lose or gain, all of that stuff, right? And so it's fascinating to think about it that way, because I'll give you an example, right? I was at a friend's wedding, and me and probably like 5 other couples are, having their first kid within the next 6 months, right? It's a huge thing. And, these couples are saying,